Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hello, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to Office Hours, your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast featuring myself, CMO73, and I am joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
This is what happens when you draw too much with Violet.
Yeah, your hands get cut. And Mike Rance.
Support your local breweries, boys.
I do want to say also thank you to our tonight's
And
sponsor. Thank you to tonight's sponsor for today. We have Triple Sleeve TCG, currently taking pre-orders as one of the only places so far that I've seen taking pre-orders for Alternate Souls, both the main set as well as the, if I can go to the right thing. What are you doing? Why is it not letting me change what this is? Oh, okay, hold on. As well as the media files. The starter decks. Just not gonna. Great. Triple Sleeve TCG is doing pre-orders right now for both the main set as well as the trial decks. If you haven't seen what Alternate Souls is, it is an arena card game. It is the design of EG and Jeff and friends. It is an absolute blast. It's like shogi meets a trading card game. They've been putting up videos on their YouTube channel about it. And even regardless on if the game isn't for you, if you like Force of Will characters, it's a great way to get really cool collectible acrylic standees of your favorite characters. So go check them out. You can check the link in the description below to get your pre-orders in right freaking now. So go do it so we can also help support EG and crew so they can get more sets.
Crew.
It is an absolute blast of a game and well worth the investment to pick up and try out. So, with that out of the way, we have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Specifically, I do want to give a shout out because she's here in the chat. Victoria Rebholz, online Cartomagica GP champion. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you here again. Congratulations, first ever woman to win a Force of Will Grand Prix. So,
cheers.
Well worth the applause.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. So,
Way to make foul history.
Well deserved.
No one can take that away from you. So congratulations. And we'll see you at Minnesota. She's going to be working with us on the stream team at Minnesota. So we're looking forward to having you help us.
Stream team and the meme team.
Yeah. So, I told my little... How did that work for you?
Not well.
Not great.
I did not anticipate as many people to main deck Witch and see it turn 1 as I did.
Yeah, it's very, very fair.
Oh.
So we're gonna jump in with spoilers tonight, and then we're gonna share our thoughts about what we think the pre-release environment this weekend might look like, as well as then talk about what we think, if we have some time, some thoughts about what next meta might start to look like in terms of things that we kind of expect or think that we think people are going to gravitate towards, or what the general environment is going to kind of look like. And we're interested to hear your thoughts. So, Twilight Games Productions, heard memed and have been summoned. Thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you.
The meme team, dream team.
These are always great nights to have, especially if you guys can participate with us in the chat. So get active in the chat. For these streams, you do not have to be a member, but if you feel like joining as a member and supporting us, you can click that join button down below. As you can see, we only need 20 more members until we get that Troll Brad emote. So consider helping and supporting us get that unlocked. So let's talk about Faria. We got Faria, the Igniter of Holy Flame, 2 white, 2 red, human hero with 12/12 with swiftness. Enter, search your deck for any number of cards named the first boon Excalibur Cassius. Reveal them, put them into your hand. Each turn, so this is you and your opponents, you can play your first card named Excalibur Cassius without paying its cost, and prevent the first damage that would be dealt by this card each turn. You gain that much life. So, I will say that I would like us to evaluate this card with a different last line, because I'm pretty sure, based on the posting, that this card is actually a mistranslation, and that bottom effect is going to say prevent the first damage dealt to this card. gain that much life. The post that it came along with certainly made it seem that way, and it wouldn't be the first time we had such a subtle, nuanced mistranslation. So I would like us to evaluate that card based on that. That being said, Paul, I think
if this card came out in Grim Cluster, then I could see that last line of text being what it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
but not now.
Yes.
I do. So I know that I think Paul here has played the most Faria in their group, so I'm interested to hear what his thoughts are off of this card.
Sure. So if it stays the way it is, if they like didn't actually screw up, this card is just as good as Tenseiga, from Inuyasha. It's the sword that cuts death, but not people. So it's a terrible sword. It's a terrible sword.
Paul, where are you just bringing these obscure Inuyasha references out of? Why is this suddenly a thing?
It might be marathoning anime I haven't watched yet, okay?
That being said,
if it's that way, it's a terrible card. I don't care what it grabs you. I don't care if it has swiftness. I don't care if it has pseudo drain that is drain. It's terrible.
But if it is a mistranslation,
if it isn't that way, if it's not that way, I think she's definitely amazing. 12/12 swiftness. You just gain life based on what damage is done to you if you swing into a redder. It's amazing. And then you just +4.
Yeah. And then some.
Yeah.
I think to me,
and then some.
I think the thing to me about this card is like when we look at Excalibur Cassius, it'll make more sense. But like this is this gives Faria Excalibur a different set of tricks. As Excalibur stands, as Excalibur currently stands, she is a one-trick pony. It is Lenneth into Fire Hero into Lethal. That like you can go about it a bunch of different ways, but that is the line. It is always Excalibur into Fire or Lenneth into Fire Hero into Lethal. And this gives me this is a very different thing to cheat in on 3 guidance counters. It's a very different approach to the end game or the mid-range game. So we'll see more about that when I get to Excalibur Cassius. Mike, what about you?
In the same boat as you guys. I played a little bit of Excalibur Faria just to like as a teaching deck for newer players. I put it together and tested it out. Been the bad guy in that side of things and taught people how to Schrodinger. The fact that you can Schrodinger on 1 and then flip this out on turn 2 is pretty nice. Again, just having that card advantage in hand is really good. I just don't really see a good fit for her in the meta right now. I'm not sure what decks she'll actually like be a part of. I mean, as stupid as this is going to sound, you can just Prescient into her on 4 and then just, +5 your board and then +4 your hand. Easy game.
Okay, moving on from that line of thought, we have the first boon, Excalibur Cassius Sword. It is a 1 white, 1 red quick cast card that says choose 1. You remove up to 3 cards from the top of your deck from the game. They gain. You may play this card from your removed area as long as they are in your RFG. Produce 4 wills produce 4 wills in any combination of attributes. Spend this will only to play heroes. I do want to say thank you to Twilight Gaming Productions. Thank you for joining as a member. You may pick up your syllabus and report to class here at Ruler School. Thank you so much for joining. Now I get to bump that up to only needing 19 more to get that bread. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Enjoy the emotes. Let's get some kikis in the chat for Twilight Gaming. Appreciate it. This card to me, I really like. This card I like more than Faria, and Faria is the enabler of this card, so like they do go hand in hand, but like because I like this card so much, it influences my opinion of Faria for sure. The idea that you just get to like draw 3 for free, like is insane. And the idea of like I would think you would like play this. Probably your first one is to produce will so that you can like follow up her being played for the turn to like put more pressure on board alongside of her. And then during your opponent's turn, you're like, oh, I'll draw 3. And then you go to your turn and you're like, will production, make use of those 3 cards that I just played, or be able to play heroes from hand and leave open my stones for this. Like this card grants her a lot of flexibility. It also lets her consider the idea of playing more unique tech cards that she doesn't have to worry about drawing as often, because like we've talked about this before, Excalibur as she stands right now does not have a ton of draw power. So like if you can keep her board clear, it's usually just like, yep, here I am playing one hero a turn, feeling really bad,
Losing the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like the fact that this is something to me, this is something that makes the deck into something different, allows you to play the deck in a very different way, which is on the casual side is a lot more fun because it makes your games a lot more interesting, and on the competitive side gives you versatility, which is the name of the game in Force of Will. Like, decision tree versatility needs to go up if you want to have a competitive deck. So this is the way to get that for Excalibur.
Yeah. I would say because we're losing some utility in some of the 1-drops that Faria can make use of right now, this card being included in that suite makes it go up in terms of its usability. So if I have to play Faria to get this card into my hand, I'm okay with that. Like 1 or 2 Faria to grab like 3, maybe even 4 of this makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the first things first is that, turn 1, Faria's already producing an extra light will. If you open a Firestone, you cast this, pay 4, get the other Faria, draw the other 3, play the next one free. You've got a little bit of a chain going there.
Yeah.
Much more bursty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Toolbox. It allows her to be a little bit more toolbox.
Toolbox.
Than both in being able to draw into text. Yeah. Hotel. Yeah, this is a very good card. I like the idea. There's to me, honestly, I'll say this. There is a world to me where this card, if the format does what we expect and get to a place where we're casting 2 costs more comfortably, like, card is just a pay 2, draw 3. Like, I don't hate that at all at instant speed. Like, pay 2, draw 3 instant speed. It's pretty dang good. Even just by itself. Card's very good.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of like...
before the sword makes me chuckle.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Excalibur Castius. Sword! Sword. This card reminds me a lot of Vingolf 3 Lumia, if you think about it, where you get like the draw 3 off of just like in a separate way. Like, I remember Ryan Miles' favorite quote was like, how many cards in hand? 5, including your Lumias? 11.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna have that with Cassius.
It's exactly the same thing. I do like the fact though, and I'll keep coming back to this when we come back to it later, is that naturally as cards that we see that do kind of these very cool, unique things that are either coming back or like reintroduced, you can also point to another card in this set that you have to watch out for. Right? Like, if you're going to want to try to be dependent on having these cards in your RFG, you got to watch out for Dante. Because Dante can just 0 cost say nope. All of those cards are now worthless. You've just milled yourself 3, technically. That feels really bad. We'll keep coming back to it, but I like that we're seeing these very clear interactions between the new cards to kind of, like, gate check everything. Which, you know, doesn't necessarily mean right out the gate. Like, you're going to have good matchups, you're going to have bad matchups, but, like, I don't have to, like, scrounge to think of what the gate check is for this, which I think is very fun. I think is cool. It's good design. Let's move on to one of my favorite spoilers of the entire night. Megara, Jealous Fury. 1 red, 1 black, 7/7 with flying. If this card was played from your hand, you may remove it from the game as it resolves. If you do, it gains quick cast, and you may play this card from your removed area without paying its cost. As long as it's in your RFG. And then on enter, your opponent banishes a Resonator if they don't discard a card. Okay, any format in Force of Will's history where instant speed discard has been viable, it's always been nuts. This is instant speed discard on a body that's potentially free.
Yeah.
What? Like, this should have been a Marvel rare, in my opinion. Like, this card is nuts.
I think it fits as a super.
Yeah, it's certainly worthy of being
really
a super
solid.
For sure.
So whenever I look at all of these Cthulhu cards, I automatically think of how they could be played in Wolfgang 1 with, you know, the fact that it doesn't have an awakening, so you can just do bogus effects for no awakening, no madness counter. This card's amazing for that. I mean, it's a flying. Potentially has swiftness with Yogg and precision for 14 in the air. Came in, got rid of something. I mean, this card's amazing to me. That's it.
I do want to say quickly to the question, I went back and read it. Gary Felix, Dante will affect them because the resolution of the spell gives those cards the ability that you may play them from the RFG. So if Dante resolves, he removes that ability from those cards in the RFG. It is not like permissions being granted purely from the fact that you resolved the spell. It is granting that ability to the card. Good question, though. Excellent question. Yep, Dante. Yep, cards. No, Mike, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, I think this card is extremely interesting for Design Space. I don't know exactly what deck it's going to fit into, just because we don't see a lot of effects that have you like you're putting opportunity cost into this card. You're paying 2 at normal speed, and you're just kind of putting something into the RFG zone, and you're saving it for later. It's like it's interesting because you kind of have to play it twice, and I think that's a big black check mark on the card, just because there are 2 opportunities to cancel it, which is
sure.
something that I think is very relevant for this format, especially because if you RFG it from the first effect and then you try to bring it back in and they just Welser it, it's like, all right, cool. Well, I just wasted like 2 separate actions trying to plan this out, and it's so there's a lot of stuff like that kind of weirds me out about it. But at the same time, it's just a really cool design. It's a 7/7 flyer that is a removal spell. Like, it's just like there's a lot of good stuff packaged into it that I think is only going to be as good as the toolbox that surrounds it.
I also really like the fact that this gives Wolfgang 1 something else to play from the shubs. Because you can like play Awaken, grab this, and then use the will from the shub to get it for later. Which I think is very cool. I think it's very neat.
Imagine not FTKing your opponent if you're playing Wolfgang.
You're not. Like, you want to know the reason why you're not FTKing your opponent? Because you literally fucking can't. Like, pardon my language. Like, Wolfgang just can't do that anymore. So, like, why try to build a deck that won't be able to do what it wants to do? Mike, you had like 3 sips of that drink. You're not that drunk. You know better. You know better than this. Moving on.
Oh, gosh.
It's just this idea. Sorry, the audacity of saying, imagine not playing a deck that can't win. Why is that a statement? Like, that's not a statement, Mike. That's you just being an idiot. I love you for it, but still.
Oh my gosh.
I have no chill for Mike tonight. I have no chill for Mike. And he's here for it. He's fine. He can take it. Imaginary Dagon, 1 blue, 1 black, 6/8 Cthulhu. Discard a card. This card gains +4/+4 until end of turn. At null, this card gains flying, and whenever this card deals damage to your opponent, they discard a card.
Fishman.
Here's our first null hyper null enabler outside of something like Last Secret Sword, which might be.
I'm really glad we got Guillermo del Toro's original character for this card game. It's great.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Shape of Water.
This
is what I'm like 4 of.
In Beatrice decks?
Just a Beatrice decks, you just literally discard him every single time, and I just think this card's amazing. Like, oh my god,
don't lose your
it's so good.
How
My ring
good it
light
is,
fell.
yeah.
It was so good. My ring light fell. Oh my god. You know what? We're just gonna let it happen.
You're just gonna let it happen.
Just let it happen.
Embrace the light. I do really like the fact that we have we were talking about before, right? Of like, we needed to see a way to get to null quicker. I think that this is a fine way to get to null quicker. So like, I'm here for it. I think it's cool. It's overstated for a 2-drop, being a 6/8. You can buff it up.
Isn't it 6/6?
Yep. I can't read. It's fine. It's normally.
I didn't read Megara either. I
It's
said she's a 4/4.
It's
She's
normally
a 7/7.
it's normally statted.
Jeremy, how many drinks have you had? Jeez,
Zero.
it's not that drunk this night.
0. I just can't read. It's fine. It's normally statted for a 6/6, but easily becomes a 10/10. Which is like the fact that you have this idea of being able to turn on null when you want it. Will especially be good. Like, because you don't always want to be on null, but when you want null, you need it, like, right then, right? So having these like free, like, repeatable pitches that get you some value rather than just being a pitch, I think is very, very good, and will be very important for Beatrice decks. Unless, like I said, you want to do silly things like Last Secret Sword, which will only last until rotation. So there you go. And you like have to have it in hand, and that feels weird. And yeah, overall,
I would say you play maybe 1 or 2 of this in probably Wolfgang 1.
Yeah,
because I can imagine just having this and Yogg, just discarding your whole hand and swinging. It's really solid.
Yeah,
I am going
Why
to
not?
play the worst deck ever using this card. The deck is entirely focused. Are you ready, Jeremy?
I'm listening.
All right, you won't want to after I start talking. Anyway, so to start it off, we're going to play Violet.
Okay.
We're going to hard mill through our deck with her effect,
Okay.
and at the end of it, we're going to pitch Death Sight to the grave, play the
Okay.
Imaginary Dagon, remove 3 cards, bring the
Okay.
Death Sight back, discard it.
Okay.
Remove 3 cards, bring the Death Sight back,
Okay.
discard it. Remove the 3 cards, bring the Death Sight back, discard it,
Okay.
and then you OTK them with fish.
But you have it. Okay.
Don't, but also do.
Because
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Because
Yes, that's correct.
once again, for the same reason as I said before of don't play the FTK, literally any form of removal tells you that's terrible.
Yeah, it's fine. You just, give the fish barrier with the Brave Force that you discarded, so you get the OTK because it gives it swiftness too. I'm a genius.
So they respond to
Jeremy!
so they respond to the one Brave Force that you can discard by killing it, and
Jeremy!
your deck falls apart.
Stop making fun of my last 2 brain cells. They're trying their best. I discarded the Brave Force.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have
Oh,
a good
good
time.
lord.
We're gonna move on. I tell you what, you try that in pre-release and come back to me.
Oh, I can't, but I will.
There you go.
Anyway.
Speaking
Next-
of pre-release, this card would be amazing in pre-release.
Oh, I think.
Oh, this guy's great in pre-release.
Yeah, I think pre-release is gonna. Be,
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get to it, but like, whew. Yeah. Olivia.
and it's a normal, so you're gonna find this a lot.
Yeah.
It's a normal. I can OTK off of 1 box. Anyway, continue.
Olivia, the sky-splitting thunderbolt, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 colorless, and 7/8 with quick cast. Choose 1 at random. Rest all other entities. Produce 4 will in any combination of attributes. Spend this will only to play cards with X in their costs, or return this card to your hand. That third mode's real weird, but it's meant to be played with Olivia, obviously. We don't have too many X cost spells, although I will say that you can use this for Feasting's Awakening, which is really, really weird and cute, I guess. I liked the fact that with what we're seeing right now, obviously the main focus of this card is to rest all other entities because it taps down every stone, it taps down every addition, it taps down anything that's currently on the field. Hits yours too, will can be floated, yada, 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 but still great. The reason why I like this a lot is because I think moving into this next format, we're going to see Priscia pretty quickly shift away from being the win con to the utility tool. And then Olivia was already using Priscia like better than others at being a utility tool for like Sparklefish or like Nightmare Fish or something else. So then suddenly you give her an entire board tap down very easily off of a single Priscia. And like, I think there's something there for sure. The other 2 modes are pretty mediocre. One of them is just straight garbage.
No, the last effect is how you establish dominance against somebody else. Pay 3 mana for a thing that doesn't win you the game and just return it back to your hand. Tell them, that's it. That's all you need to see. You can't see any more of this. I did it.
Go.
I don't know what the four wheels is. I don't know what the four wheels is supposed to be like.
Well, it's for the next card that we're about to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other applications it might
The
have.
only other X cost spells I believe we have, it does say cards with, so you could technically play it with Cerberus.
Oh, okay.
Astema Cerberus. I mean, like technically, like there are other cards that have X.
We playing 5-color Olivia today, boys. Let's go.
Let's go.
Don't let your memes be dreams.
Oh my gosh.
I do want to go over to the next Olivia card, because then I'm just gonna let Paul vomit his love for these cards onto the screen. We're gonna
Yeah.
Poor guy.
1 blue, 1 X, the 5th boon, Lightning Bolt Bow. Choose one at random. Draw X cards. Return all non-Magic Stone, non-J Ruler entities your opponent controls with total cost X or less to their owner's hand. Why didn't they give this card Quick Cast? Is my only problem with this card. And now Mike and I are gonna stop talking and let Paul talk, because this is his lady. Paul.
So I think this card is weird, and I know that might sound a little odd. I love this card for the fact that it's a 1-drop bounce their stuff. I really do. The only thing that I am considering with this is the fact that it can be canceled by Girion. But in Wanderer format, because it's not quick cast, it protects it from Fair's spell.
It can't be canceled by Girion. It has a total cost of whatever.
It's a 1 cost.
You're paying into the total cost
Is
of
that not how that works?
It'd be a 3
Oh,
cost.
then it can be canceled by Girion.
At
Okay, I
least as
love
far
this
as
card. I
at
love it a
least-
lot more now.
Right?
If you want to draw 0 cards, you're more than welcome
Yeah.
to.
Total
You'll
cost.
just get canceled by Girion.
The total cost of the card
Its
is
total cost on the chase would be different than
Correct.
1 then.
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm getting it mixed up with the ruling that it's a 1 cost in the deck. So that's the difference.
Sure,
If
yes.
it's on the chase, absolutely. You can't be canceled by Girion, which I think is amazing. This is literally just bounce your opponent's board, swing in for damage. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, sir.
Bounce every
Good night.
bounce every 3 cost or less. The fact that this thing specifically
Yeah.
says X or less, I think, is what gives it a lot of credence.
Mhm.
It is very good for that sense. Because what we've had so far for Olivia is we have had this idea of, like, I get a Thunderfish that can't be canceled and I'll go over you. But this is her way to, and like she has a couple of other board wipes, but those are like destruction focused. So like giving her things to like get around Eternal, giving her things to not have to go over top of people, I think is pretty cool. I like it a lot. So very, very cool.
It definitely pulls her into a more mid-range, which
Yes.
is nice. Overall, I think the ability to draw 4 cards is really, really, really good for Olivia, especially if you're able to sort of like recover all of your stones with a Sparklefish, and then you just have stuff waiting for your opponent. That's pretty solid. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use this quite yet, because I don't want to play the Olivia on my upkeep, because then I waste the will. It's just kind of weird. It's pretty much just like
the fact that this
pay
thing was
3,
spoiled
bounce
at the
everything.
same time. The fact that this thing was spoiled at the same time as Olivia is the weirdest thing. It's just like, why doesn't this have quick cast? If it was a green card, it would have quick cast, and also it would win the game.
Yeah,
but you know,
that's why I'm saying like it makes the like will production part of her just feel really weird. Where like you're gonna get your most value off of it, turning it into essentially a tap down, where then you can push through for lethal, like a free turn, right? And so that's where it feels weird. That being said, I will say this: if the idea of like tap everything your opponent controls down on their turn, go to your turn, recover all your stones, then play this card when it can't be canceled, so you're safe, like as a follow up. But then it's like, then why did we put the produce X on her? Like you see it, but it's not quite there. But still cool.
Yeah.
Also, absolutely
2 lines of text that matter the most.
Absolutely a card to watch out for in pre-release, because like you will just have board bounce for lethal.
There's no downside to this card, so the fact that it goes back to your hand, if you are doing this and you are playing it randomly,
Oh, sure.
why? But there's no downside. to playing this, it'll automatically just come back. It'll just whiff. Bye.
Mike left.
Kind of like that. It'll just bounce
It'll
Mike
just
back
bounce,
to his hand.
bounce back to his hand.
The best two lines on this card are quick cast, rest all other entities.
Yep, for the Olivia, very much so.
Yeah.
Now we get to talk
I
about
will
my boy.
mostly be using this to. Yeah, go ahead.
It's my
You're
boy.
fine. It's over.
It's my boy, Wolfgang. We got Wolfgang, the Prince of Azmodius. We've seen this guy before, or Amadeus. We've seen him before. 1 white, 1 blue. Dang, I love this artwork for it. 7/7 with barrier white and barrier black, the two most like typical targeting hard removal colors. So that's nice for him. Once per turn, you may play an addition from your graveyard. This is clearly designed to shore up the weakness that Wolfgang has had, where if he does get additions wiped, it feels like the game's just kind of over. The fact that he costs blue is very, very weird to me. But like, we're in a format where you can like play dual stones, and we're in a format where like it's not that hard to like find a splash, especially with like 6 sage stone or something else like that. It's stupid. It shouldn't have been, and like I'm glad they didn't. But like, imagine if this was a demonic world, like a resonator that was also a demonic world. Like, great, absolutely, that would have been fantastic. I'm glad they didn't, but like, why not? Why didn't? Well, please, can I just get an errata on him to also be a demonic world? Because then you could play him with the demonic world stone. You could get him out of the deck with Wolfgang, which would feel very good. It fills a hole that Wolfgang needed. Especially in certain matchups. It's probably going to find its way into sideboards more than main boards. Probably not. At most in main boards, maybe a one of. But still cool to see that like the support for Wolfgang, like as well as the next card that we'll see, is directly playing to his weaknesses that we've seen from him in the first place, which I think is a very cool way to approach the build. Speaking of, we're going to spend more time talking about the actual demonic world, which is the 6th Moon Requiem, Jewel. So we've got sword, bow, mask, jewel, lance,
chameleon.
Because he's drowning. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. It has eternal. It's a 2-cost demonic world. It has eternal. Cannot be banished. Cannot be removed from the game. Your opponent pays X more to play God's Arts, where X is the number of demonic worlds with different names you control, and it taps to produce white or black. This is a base rare. Let that sink in that this is a base rare for him. This card is insane.
Good.
This card is insane, like, for Wolfgang. Because let's talk about the biggest weaknesses that Wolfgang has, right? He wants to get to demonic worlds super quick, but in doing so at maximum efficiency, it leaves him super vulnerable because he taps out. It also really sucks to always be reset potentially back to 1, because at 2 demonic worlds, usually most demonic worlds will get you a ton of value, right? Like 2 for 1, 3 for 1, 4 for 1. Like 2 is kind of the threshold to really start generating the most value off of it. This card literally just says like, okay, you're always going to have at least 2, and you don't have to be like super greedy and tap out to like get to 3 or more in the early game. Oh, also I'm taxing God's Arts. Like, what? This card's great. Do we have someone spamming the chat, Mike?
We sure did.
Thank you for timing that out. If they come back, feel free to ban them. I appreciate you
Will
in
do.
the chat. This demonic world's so good. This demonic world. This is a demonic world that I think you play at least 2. There's a world where you play 3, I think. Because I actually think that it's really nice to be able to just cast this card from hand. Like, it's a ramp. Essentially costs 1. Wolfgang's colors are primarily white-black anyway. I think it almost kind of replaces Plane of Raging Winds. Like, we go back down to like 2 planes and just play 3 of this. I've been comfortable at 2 planes, but like having this an addition to 2 planes is like,
this
great.
is searchable from Sigurd. Ooh.
Yes, also Sigurd can just grab this.
Also that.
Which is also really nice. Like, Sigurd can grab this, which is also really nice because even by itself, it's a barrier of shadows. which is like
You know what I'm
against
gonna
all
do?
these gods arts is very, very good.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna Sigurd into this. I'm gonna use the will. I'm gonna Yggdrasil's Grace the Sigurd to flash it out and bring it back in off the mana that this produced. And you know what? I'm gonna have a good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's real.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm
That's a
gonna do
real
it again because I got the other boon off of
The
that
other
first
one of this one.
Sigurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this
Oh my goodness.
I think this card is very, very good.
That's
Even
nuts.
on top of the fact that we also got a demonic world that gains you life for 1 white. Like
Jeez.
this, and we've been saying for a while that some of the best sideboard tech cards or like 1-cost tech cards right now are 1 white. Like white has been more and more filling up sideboards with 1-cost cards, and main boards with like tech 1-cost cards. Hunting Angel is also one that's coming out in this set. It also produces black, right? So like tap this, play a Dark Alice's Smile, like a Scorn of Dark Alice or something like, you know, off of it. Like Wolfgang about to get a lot more flexible while still being able to be just as greedy. And I'm like, yep, I'm here for it.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
100%.
Imagine if we had it in this set, you could just play this and you could just float the will for Intimidate. Like that alone would elevate Wolfgang.
Yep.
I think this card is on the same plane as the green untap spell for me. I'm gonna have a hard time deciding which one I want more than the other, and I might even put more in the sideboard depending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still don't see
Also,
this making Wolfgang able to stay on level with the others. Explain how ramp to keep up while also apply massive pressure and tax equal not
Because
able
it's
to
not
keep up.
it's not playable in Mikage, Jeremy.
It is though if you're playing Sigurd.
how does it help me play Kiki? It doesn't help me play Kiki. Bad card. 0 out of 10.
Yeah, Shekels.
But for real,
I mean,
this
if
actually
Shekels
makes
was
me
one-
think like a Sigurd in the deck actually makes a lot of sense
Yeah,
now.
yeah, no, for
as
sure.
compared to before.
For sure. The idea of like
Yeah.
playing the Sigurd Rhea package. Like, and people were already considering the idea of Rhea to be able to dump and play less residence so that you can like dump residence faster too. But it was just like, yeah, the only thing we're really dumping is residence, so that feels kind of bad. Cool, now we can just dump Sigurd. And okay, like great. Whoops.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's more of an argument to playing Rhea, and cutting back on heart to heart, and also cutting back on residence and shifting more to the Rhea package. I think makes a lot of sense. Just gotta watch out for Dante. Just gotta watch out for Dante.
Per usual.
The other decks are still far too fast. I don't understand how Feith Mooch is. I'm gonna say this again because I've said it before live. I'm gonna say it again. This format is not actually fast if you were respecting your opponent's strategy. This format is a grind fest if you are respecting your opponent's strategy. If you are disrespecting your opponent's strategy, this format ends very, very quickly. This format is decision heavy very, very early. That does not mean it is fast. That means it is decision heavy, at least in my mind.
Cards large, format fast.
Yeah.
That's the argument.
Big card cheap.
Big card cheap. Big card cheap. Go back.
Logan, I've also been looking at Sigurd, Rhea, and Wolfgang, but like I said, there wasn't enough to dump outside of like Sigurd and the residents, and I didn't have enough of a reason to be dumping the Sigurd in my mind. Now I absolutely do, because we have demonic worlds that are in black that are getting me more value off of them on top of playing that kind of stuff. Feel free to ban them, Paul.
Don't know how to.
I can.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I can put them in timeout. I can report them.
I can remove. I can report them. Ban. Report. Ta-da.
Why?
What's Wolfgang doing to stop his major weakness in Violet? First off, the fact that-
Necronomicon barrier.
First
Anyway.
off, we now have Will to be able to play things like Intimidate. We now have Hunting Angel, which we can now use to be able to stop, get around a Turbulence and kill an Atomic Bahamut. Like Violet is still something we have to monitor. Like it is still probably Wolfgang's biggest weakness, but also you have to remember that again, because of the way that the meta is about to shift, Violet is not going to be able to do what she's currently doing against the rest of the field. She is going to have to play different, which in turn will slow her down, which in turn will give Wolfgang more time. You can't, like, I'll say this, as we get into next meta, it kind of fast forwards to our conversation later if we get to it. Like, you have to start thinking about grand meta implications of what's going to happen to different decks rather than matchup by matchup implications. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, sure, in a vacuum, with Violet just playing whatever Violet wants, knowing that she's going to play against Wolfgang, yes, that's going to be difficult for you. But you have to think of what is Violet going to be thinking about going into a room full of a bunch of different decks? What does that deck look like? That deck is probably not going to be the same as what it is now. So meta calls, they're important. We got a few more cards to get through. 6 in all. Belisle's Hymn, 1 cost, 2 cost, 1 white, 1 colorless. Put a 4/4 Light Darkness Fallen Angel Resonator token with flying into the field. Then tokens you control gain +4/+4 until end of turn and draw a card. This card's so good. I love this card. Like, in pre-release especially, this card is so good. But like, in general, it's just a cool card. I don't really have much else to say about it. It is tokens.
It's very strange. I really like the design space they're going for with it, but at the same time, it's like you want to cast on your opponent's turn, so the 400 swiftness, but when you do, you lose the buff until the end of the turn. So it's like it doesn't work with itself, but it like works with everything else. Like, I really don't know what to make of it, but I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up a board of bunnies with this, and we're going to have a really good time.
What card? Wait, hold on. Why is Tori is talking to me in the chat? What card are we talking about?
We're talking about Belisle's Hymn. Generate a token, make all your
Belisle's
tokens
Hymn?
bigger, draw a card.
Oh, this thing is amazing. What did I say? I comment on every card now.
Oh my god, I didn't
I
even
think it
read
has-
the draw a card part of this. Oh.
Yeah, and it draws a card.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Card's good.
yeah. It's a little line that I also somehow overlooked. I just like that it gives your stuff a buff for 2, which means Girion can't cancel it, and so if you have enough dudes, you can just swing.
Gearing
That's
can't
cute.
cancel
I mean,
it,
like
but-
5 tokens. You have 5 tokens. That's 40 life.
Yeah.
Done.
GG.
And a lot of Belisle's cards are already going to be generating tokens. So this is interesting to me because a lot of Belisle's supports like produce tokens secondarily, right? And then you have a card like this that's like, oh, I've been incidentally producing tokens. You're dead. Like, it's very cool stuff. Like, it's like we haven't explored. That's the part of Belisle that I'm most excited about. Is like we haven't actually had a token deck that like has felt fleshed out ever. It's just been like, I can do this gimmicky thing with a single type of token. But it's not ever been like a token deck. And so this is gonna be cool.
Oh, I got it.
Nope. Moving on. Next card. Cradle of Fleeting Hope.
Wait, no, come back.
I only have 15 minutes and we've got 5 cards and other things to
All
talk
right,
about.
fine.
Let's go.
All right, quick. Okay, real quick. Put a bunch of zombie tokens in here with Temple of the Dead for Wolfgang after getting the thing on the board that produces the white. Use the white to produce this. Then you get a bunch of zombies on board and you give them +4/+4. Swing 5 of them. Game. Next.
And we've been talking about how Wolfgang needs ways to kill people outside of Terminus. There you go. Hey.
Hey, look. WinCon. Next card.
Cradle of Fleeting Hope. 1 cost white, enter, draw a card. It's the first of the Cradles. We've seen the other Cradles over the cast. They all cantrip on enter, and then they all do something when sacked from Field's Grave. Put 2 4/4 Light Darkness Fallen Angel Resonator tokens with flying into the field. These are the I want to play Azmodius as a secondary ruler cards. The idea of like you produce value with these, maybe call stone with the primary ruler, and then Azmodius says, cool, I have these options to use when I need to then like turn on and get stuff out of them. Very cool design space to explore Azmodius being able to combine with the other rulers as the backup. Also, these are very cool anti-Suya cards. Just all of them are. Play this. Please play a Suya.
I know exactly what these are going to be used for.
Yeah?
Tiro Zero Mikage to turn on revenge. Let's go.
I don't think he can sacrifice them.
Well, he can't sacrifice them, but he'll play another card that sacrifices them, and the revenge is turned on.
There it is.
So I like this Cradle specifically better than the other two that we have so far because it's in color with Spelling Stone. So you can
Yes.
draw 2, produce 2 resonators.
That's
Two
also
mana.
And you
very
can
cool.
trigger it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Also very
And
cool.
it costs you 1 card.
Yeah.
So
The easiest,
I like that.
The easiest thing to answer the questions in the chat, the easiest things right now to be able to instant speed pop these is using Azmodius. Because he can just tap sack an entity. And so he can turn them on whenever he...
Oh, I'm going to abuse the hell out of these things with Dark Alice and Wanderer.
Also, yes, Dark Alice.
Ooh, that's spice.
Rabbit Princess is back up to 150 a pop. Let's go.
I mean, might as well. It's got company support now. Let's go.
Let's go. Glad I have my full art playset.
Hey, yeah.
Moving on, we have
I don't.
A Stemma's. I don't even think you have a playset yet, Paul.
I have 1.
Yeah, we've been working on that.
Make a Wanderer promo, please.
We have
Ooh,
3
nice.
costs. We have a Stemma's Wrath, 3 cost quick cast. You may search your deck for a darkness card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And if you have Fallen, which means you've resolved a God's Art this turn, produce 3 will in any combination of red and or black.
I need
Make
a
it this
Girion from my deck. Thank you.
I mean, it's pretty okay. Like the
Uh,
fact that
it's okay.
the fact that it costs like a 3 for a tutor like is reasonable, right? Like the Fallen part feels really weird. Like I'm just like I don't know what I'm doing here with this. Like the 3 cost just to tutor a card. I don't know if we're there yet, right?
I think it's anywhere close. This card immediately reminds me of Free from the Altar, which was meta-defining when it came out because it was 1 cost. Search your deck. You didn't even need to have the Fallen to produce the things, and it cost 2 less than this upfront. And I think that's the biggest thing that drives me away from this.
Logan, I think in the side events for the GP, we're gonna ask Svetlana if we can enter the side event as the stream team and just have our represent 1 player in the bracket as whatever member of the stream team is available to play, and we as the stream team will just play a deck. Because we have 4 people coming to help with the stream, so we can be a person if Svetlana is okay with us all representing 1 person. I'm sure I could convince her. I don't think that'll be hard. But
So
yeah,
just consider with this card. On your opponent's, you don't have battle comes to an end. And so you call Stone Pass with Carlina and Astema, right?
Yeah.
Or Belisle, whatever. You, on their turn, play this, get your battle comes to an end. On your turn now, you draw, and now you have a second stone. And you can play Battle Comes to an End, and you can just not lose the game, or you can just tutor Inferno.
I will say
There we go.
I will say the thing that I like about this card the most is that if you have Fallen turned on, and in response to this, there's a world where your opponent tries, you really want this to resolve, right? You really need it to resolve, and you cast it, and then your opponent's like, Black Witch. You can go, well, in response to the Black Witch, I will throw away a needless God's Art and get my will back. It's a way to kind of not have this card be so painfully hurt by cards like Black Witch, which is that's a weird design space to think about. But the fact that it has that utility is gives it some credence. But 3 for a search is a lot. Just in general in Faust history, 3 for a search is a lot. Even back in Grim Cluster days, 3 for a search was a lot. Most of our searches were a lot cheaper. So. The format would need to slow down exponentially for this card to be something where I'm naturally thinking about playing it in the deck.
Arlena Mirrors, go.
Oh God.
Arlena Belisle Mirrors, go.
Oh yeah. Also Belisle mirrors.
I can't lose. Haha, neither can I.
Oh, I didn't grab the. Why did I?
Make a
I'm
stand.
just
Okay.
missing cards. Where is my dark? No, wait, no, they didn't. Did they show off Cradle of Dark?
I don't think so.
No Cradle of Dark.
What came with the stemma?
There's also no Cradle of Wind yet.
What came with the stemma? What was the card that was?
Cradle of Scorching Heat.
Oh, it was the red one. Okay, so I was in order. So
Yeah.
Okay, making sure my cards were all out of order. Cradle of Scorching Heat, same thing, cantrips, and then on banish it. It deals 800 to each J/Resonator your opponent controls. Hey, remember Flame Trap? This is him now. Flame Trap actually had relevance in the meta. Eight damage to a board is not nothing. Like,
let's go.
It's quite actually something.
it's quite actually something.
Yeah.
800 damage is a pretty.
Especially with Azmodius.
800 damage is a pretty consistent like threat threshold. There's like 3 threat thresholds in this game. Pretty traditionally, it's like 500 damage, 800 damage, 1100 damage. These are like the primary like board like removal damage thresholds, especially for wider boards. And this hits the middle of the road very easily at instant speed. It's an activate ability as opposed to an automatic. The fact that it cantrips on enter, very very cool card. Very very cool card. I like it.
Really good anti-Faria tool too.
Yes.
Because it
Good
deals
buy
800.
board.
As long as you
kills
can get rid
their
of the
Lenneth.
As long as you can get rid of the Lenneth.
Yeah. If you get rid of all the Lenneths, they don't already have guidance counters. That's a board wipe for one.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Very very cool card.
Next.
Moving on. Got 2 blue cards left to go. We have
Big Chungus.
Sky Ruler of the Demonic World, big boy.
Big Chungo.
2 blue, 1 2020 with flying. This card gains -4/-4 for each card in your hands. And null, you may play this card from your graveyard. I like this. Even the fact that null has like we're seeing more cards that have like null making your graveyard your hand is automatically better than what null ever was in the past. In terms of
this card,
in terms of design.
This card feels reminiscent of like Voidosaurus from Time Spinning Witch, where it's like the big payoff for null in a sense. It's different in the fact that like it's bigger on its main side, but more expensive. But the fact that it also gets the coming back kind of thing, and also it's not you don't technically have to have a no hand in order to just put it on the board as a big threat. You just have to have a small hand to put it on the board as a big threat.
Yeah, I think if he was
the flavor go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go first.
I was gonna say the flavor text kind of points toward the idea behind this card. I think is when you're playing it in Beatrice and Carlina decks, just being able to pay for this for relatively free and get a 20/20 with no hand is really really solid. I can also see it being used in Wolfgang maybe potentially, especially with the Fish Boy Shape of Water.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
So Toby, I will say this: you continue to bring up good evidence to the point that I made earlier in the podcast, which is that for every card,
oh my god,
for every card that
Toby,
hold on, Mike, for every card that we've read, we can quickly think of a card that can make it not as good, which that is good design space because nothing should be unanswerable.
If Exorcist Mage was good, Percy would not be good. Let's go! Anyway, continue on.
Anywho, we're going to get one last card. I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying is you're bringing up a good point in the fact that these cards have things that can answer them. But rather than turning that into a negative, it should be praised for the design space that we're working within a world where there is nothing that is completely safe. That is the design space where you want because it allows for a more diverse meta. And I think that's very, very, very nice. Blake Becker! You can pick up your syllabus and report to class. Thank you for joining here as a student at Ruler School. Up to 107. Thank you so much. Great conversation.
Stay beautiful, Blake.
Boom.
Last card, we have the Cradle of Biting Frost. When this card is put into a graveyard from the field, rest a target non-magic stone entity your opponent controls. It doesn't recover during its opponent's next recovery phase. Tap down.
That's a lot less.
Tap
It's a
downs-
lot less relevant than 800 damage to a board.
Correct. Tap downs.
But...
Tap downs are certainly a thing. There's a world where, because Azmodius is playing so many cards based on the way that you're building him, that like you're just probably playing a lot of these cradles, and then you kind of like have access to them as a suite, right? Where like you get the one that you turn Asmodius' tap effect into, I have 4 modes, I have 5 modes, and I will use the mode that's appropriate. Sometimes tapping something down permanently is just good. At least for like locking out of a turn. There was an entire format for a very long time where we were doing nothing but tapping each other's stuff down, and even to lock it for just one turn, right? So it comes down to...
That did include magic stones being tapped down, though,
Yes.
which is fairly relevant.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
the relevant part of that.
But we've also had it for like entities, right? You think of like Jormungandr, right? Yeah. Jormungandr tapped things down, and that was a very relevant card. There were certain or not Jormungandr, the giant that would do it.
I know. But also
Bergelmere.
So like there are formats, there are matchups where like telling something to be tapped down and lock them out of 2 turns is very, very crazy. This card also makes flip it. If this card's on field, it makes flipping a J ruler like really uncomfortable if you're a J ruler flipping deck, because like the idea of being locked out of calling for stone is not irrelevant. And there's also a
Jeremy, sorry, I just mild tangent. You talking about Burgundy reminded me that we're going to be able to turn 1 Trout with Carlina in Wanderer.
Yeah,
and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But continue.
You can also turn 1 magic. You can also just turn 1 Magic Stone Analysis, get a free stone, and then call stone. You could do that in New You could do that in New Frontiers. Currently.
Oh yeah, because you got the thing that gets a stone, but you're gonna get it. Oh no! If you get the Guard Dragon, then it's a tool mana, and you get the one that's
Dragon.
Oh, Dragon.
Yeah. Any hoozle. Yeah. Cool card. The application of being able to tap stuff down is certainly more situational, but not without merit. It's not like your first thought, but there will be situations that this can come up. I really do like the fact, again, though, that I really do like the fact that all of them can trip, right? Because it makes me want to go like, yeah, okay, it's a utility card that replaces itself, and that's what it's designed to be, and so that's fine. I'm great with that.
When the blue spell that came out tapped everything down, people were freaking. I don't think anybody in their right mind would ever have said that card was good. So
the blue
no,
spell that came out
I
that
don't
tapped
remember
everything
that.
down and peeps were freaking. Well, that was because people freaked out about the blue card that tapped everything down until if you're talking about the one from this set, the non-quick cast tap everything down. No, you talking about Rachel's Smile? Rachel's Smile people freaked out about until they realized that you can float will. Because people realized
Crazy how that works.
Yeah. That immediately prevented that card from being a problem.
Logan's saying we're gonna play floating out, make the game horrible. Hell yeah, buddy! She already can't. Oh, she already can't play more than 1 spell a turn. We're gonna make this experience miserable.
Yeah, the Rachel Smile. It's just because people didn't realize when Vanish will recover, or when will vanishes. That Rachel's Smile was pretty bad for that reason. But it was also the reason why Mosasaurus Mosasaurus was very good.
Imagine Rachel's Smile on a body that costs 1 less mana
and hits 3 stones.
Haha.
Gross.
Yes.
It's very good.
I imagine a Rachel Smile that costs 3 at quick cast speed. I wonder if we get a card like that soon.
Well, that'd be cool.
Okay, so let's talk. Yeah, it's true. We have a Rachel Smile that costs 3 at quick cast and is a body, infinitely better. Calm down. So let's talk about this.
It's so good.
I think we've kind of hit on the point that I wanted to make about this New Frontiers, because Mike and Paul and I have talked about this pretty extensively leading up to this. Is that it feels right out the gate? It feels like it's going to be a clown fiesta, particularly because there are some things that we are naturally feeling are going to be gravitated towards being good. There are things that we can naturally see people gravitating towards that are going to be good, that is then going to have to play an influence on cards that we currently are seeing. Like I said, Violet cannot play bursty style now. because she cannot try to be playing like Violet as it stands now cannot be trying to go towards the get under you deck approach, because she will run into Belisles and she will lose that matchup if she's trying to play the deck that way. She just doesn't have a way to beat that. So that means that Violet naturally has to steer away from that, which then has the implication of Wolfgang suddenly has more time to breathe, which then you suddenly have, that's because people are playing God's Art decks in the meta, which then Wolfgang gets to play God's Art Taxing, and maybe other people start playing God's Art Taxing, so decks get less consistent because they're playing more tech stuff. Like, when you're thinking in the context of what this next meta is going to look like, these cards are bringing to the table a lot of personal psychology, both for current decks and for all the new decks that we haven't discovered yet. It is not just, oh, we slammed this card as a 4-of in old deck. It's going to be, oh, how does old deck change to still work? And I think that's going to be the number one question. And I think that it's going to be important to recognize that that is a very, very important question. And almost every single deck is going to have to change to work in this new meta in a way that makes this meta a lot more enjoyable for a lot more people. Yeah, Violet can absolutely play a mean grind game, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Victoria's version of the list is not a grind game list.
No.
Tori wants to smack face. That face will be smacked.
Yeah, she can grind very, very well, but she has to grind differently, which is fine. Which is why you have the 3-drop Violet. Which is why you have the spell cancel Atom or the spell clone Atom. Like, those are things that naturally push her towards being a more of a grindier deck with more utility rather than just go face. Brad suddenly has this early game of like bouncing spells back to hand more consistently and like cancel the big drops and like get his seal cards back so we can use them more often rather than having to save them for later, which is how that's been my one thing playing Brad, is like playing the mystery spells always feels kind of weird because like you want to save them for later, but you still want to be using them proactively to get counters. And then you get new Brad who now recycles your seal cards so you can feel more comfortable burning those cards. Like, decks are going to be different. And they're going to have to be. That being said, pre-release is going to be a blast, right? Like,
yeah.
Dang, pre-release is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, this feels... MSW felt a lot different than EDL did, or even Assault into the Demonic World did when it came down to just draft.
Yeah.
You had to draft with ADW, and it was
even
kind of a hit or a miss. Yeah, I mean, drafting was better because you could actually construct, but even so, like, if you got a bunch of random cards, like, good luck, man. That wasn't very good. This one seems a lot better, though. Like, it seems like there's, like, a lot of just interesting...
There's less archetypes to follow when it comes to your draft. That's the big
loose archetypes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Fish Boy doesn't necessarily have to be in a null deck. Like, just discarding a card to get buff is good.
Yeah,
it's a good effect.
It's not like, oops, I get Adams back. I didn't draft in the Adams. Oh well, this card this card doesn't affect randomly. Okay. This is going in the pile.
Yeah, for sure.
Pray to whatever god you see.
Yeah, I think in general, the thing that made MSW so fun was MSW to pre-release so fun is that the cards were that same kind of idea of loose archetype, and like MSW's identity was using your rulers for different things, which is why we adapted the house rule of like having the ruler artifact that wasn't really a ruler so that we could still like use those cards the way they were meant to be played. But in general, like the set itself wasn't reliant on the ruler to function, at least at a base level, right? ADW is reliant on the rulers to function at a base level. Like, it doesn't feel good. This set is very similar in the sense of the MSW. Like, these are just cards that will be fun to play. even if you don't have their assigned ruler with them. And that to me is the kind of pre-release environment, either sealed or draft, that makes it a lot more fun. So looking forward to it. We're gonna stream it. We're gonna stream ours here on Saturday. So it's my birthday. Well, it's not actually my birthday, but pre-release always falls on my birthday weekend. So I'm turning 30.
You're old,
the big-
my
You're
dude.
turning 30.
The big 3-0.
And here I thought me going into my late 20s as of Friday was a big deal.
See.
Here's Jeremy just like,
Welcome to the
hey,
chat.
I'm decrepit and ancient.
I'm not doing that.
Oh.
Heart to Heart's also going to be a lot more awkward against Dante. Like your first one's
From
getting
the Devil May Cry series.
your first Heart to Heart's gonna get you 1, and then your second Heart to Heart you're gonna have to find and cast your other Heart to Heart, which always feels a little awkward. And then you're gonna get that one Dante because they're probably gonna recycle their God's Arts. Try to see if there's any other comments I had here.
Another mini set. Ooh.
That would be cool. I would like to see a mini set every single block. I think that would be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would I like to see
instead of
cards
having-
Question of the
printed?
day.
Would I like to see cards printed less powerful than Percy in them? Sure.
Sure. Well, I also think that this.
Well,
Question of the day.
I also think that.
What would you put in your mini set?
Wanderer support. Next question.
Yeah, it's the same. I'd probably just do something very. I'd probably just do something very similar to Rebirth of Legends. I think it was a pretty good set overall. I will say
25 mermaids.
though, I will say though that I think that
New Gorgon.
I think in this new format, Percy is going to find herself being used as the card she was designed to be, which was the utility card, which still very good, but better design than just Percy loops.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna do it for us for tonight. We're already a little bit over what we normally do, but it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you. We have a Dante from Devil May Cry altered onto Dante. I don't think we have anyone who does altered art currently. I do want to say again a huge thanks to Triple Sleeve TCG for sponsoring tonight's episode. As a reminder, you can go check them out in the link in the description to get your pre-orders in for Alternate Souls, the arena card game from EG, My Will Studios. Very, very fun game. We're looking very forward to getting our Kickstarter stuff in and recording some stuff for you. We have some plans to add some stuff to the stream in Minnesota with having a crew that might involve Alternate Souls. So, like, be on the lookout there. I've got plans. Nothing promised, but exciting stuff. And if you haven't already, check out My Will Studios. You can just search up Alternate Souls to go watch their current stuff that they're putting out. And then be sure to tune in here and get your pre-orders in for the trial decks with those amazing acrylic standees and then the full set. And keep in mind that if you do buy a booster box of the new set, it is guaranteed to get you one of every single character. So it's essentially an LCG at that point. So a lot of fun, a lot of cool standees, well worth your time. Thanks to our 2 new members who joined in tonight. Always appreciate that. If you aren't already a member and want to consider supporting us, if it made you laugh, if you're watching this video after the fact, we appreciate it. Consider clicking that join button. And until next time, this has been myself, Demo73. I am joined by, as always, Paul Reisman.
Here comes the boy.
That's a ditto. Ditto. And Mike Rance.
Shameless plug time because it's the end of the stream. Go listen to my band's new single, Holistic, on Spotify and watch the music video. You can, if you want to know more, ask me.
Sure.
Logan reminded me to talk about it.
Sure. And until next time, class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.